The Ashvamedha, the horse sacrifice, explained like you are a child. Step 1. What was this sacrifice? The Ashvamedha was an ancient and powerful ritual. It was a special way for a ruler to prove he was the greatest king. Example. Imagine a boy in a school wants to show he is the strongest. He creates a challenge. If no one dares to stop him, everyone must accept him as the leader. Step 2. What were the two parts of the ritual? This ritual had two main parts. First part, the wandering horse. A white horse with black spots was chosen. The horse was set free to roam wherever it wanted for 1 year. A big army followed the horse to protect it. If the horse entered another king's land, that king had two choices. 1. Capture the horse and fight the army to prove he was stronger. 2. Do nothing, which meant he accepted the ruler who released the horse as his superior. Example. Imagine a student sends a flag into another classroom. If no one removes the flag, it means they accept him as their leader. If someone takes it down, they must fight to prove their power. Second part, the grand ceremony and sacrifice. After 1 year, if no king had stopped the horse, it returned home. A huge celebration took place in the ruler's city. The horse was sacrificed as a symbol that the ruler was now the most powerful. Priests and poets sang stories about the ruler's greatness. Example. Imagine a champion returns home after winning a big game. There is a huge celebration, and the whole city praises him. Step 3. Where did the Chalk chief do this? The Chalk chief, who later became the founder of the Chalukya dynasty, performed this ritual at Aryapura, modern-day Aihole. His court and ministers stayed in the city, organizing daily religious prayers and songs. They used money from past battles to decorate temples and palaces. Example, imagine a new king in a video game completing a tough challenge, then using his rewards to build his kingdom. Step 4. What really happened? In theory, any king could stop the horse, but in reality, rulers usually guided the horse into lands they already controlled. This made it look like they won without fighting. Example, imagine a boxer who challenges others, but only fights opponents he already knows he can defeat. This way he wins easily. Step 5. Why was this ritual so important? It showed that the ruler was the most powerful. It forced smaller kings to accept him as their leader. It connected politics with religion, making the ruler's power seem like the will of the gods. Imagine if a businessman gets a huge award on TV. Now people believe he is truly the best in his field. Step 6. After completing this ritual, the Chalk chief became a true king. His family ruled for hundreds of years as the famous Chalukya dynasty. Example, imagine a small startup company growing into a giant business like Google or Apple, ruling the world of technology. Final lesson. What can we learn? Big leaders use big ideas to gain power. Religion and politics were deeply connected in ancient India. A king's power was not just about fighting, it was also about proving his strength through rituals. This is the simplest, easiest, and best explanation of the Ashvamedha ritual. Let me know if you want even more details. The Ashvamedha ritual explained in the simplest way. Step 1. What was the meaning of the horse's journey? The horse was not just wandering around. Its journey was a symbol of how far the king's power and rule extended. Any land the horse travelled across was considered under the king's control. Smaller kings in those lands had to accept that their right to rule came from this bigger king. Example, imagine a school where there is one head student king. If a monitor, smaller king, accepts his leadership, it means the head student rules over the whole school. Another example, imagine a company where a CEO has many managers under him. The managers run different departments, but they all work under the CEO's authority. Step 2, the title of the Supreme King. After the horse's journey, the king got a special title, Raja di Raja. This means king of other kings. It showed that the king was not just ruling one city, but had many smaller kings under him. Example, Imagine a video game where a player becomes the top champion after defeating all others. Now, other players must respect and accept him as their leader. Another example, in an army, there is one top general who commands all lower-ranked officers. Step 3. What happened after the horse returned? After 1 year, the horse returned to the king's court, Aryapura, modern-day Aihole. The second part of the ritual began. This was a dark and serious event. The ritual books describe it in a very dramatic way. Example: imagine a sports champion returning home after a world tour. His final match is the biggest event, and everyone is watching. Another example: in a royal ceremony, a king's coronation, crowning ceremony, is the most important event, and the whole kingdom celebrates. Step 4. Why was this important? The Ashvamedha was not just about war. It was also about symbolism, powerful meanings. It showed who was the supreme ruler in a way that people could see and understand. Example: imagine a boss proving his leadership not just by working hard, but also by wearing a crown in the office. So everyone knows he is in charge. Step 5. What happened next? The final part of the ritual was about to begin. It was time for the king to officially declare his supreme power, but this part had some dark and serious traditions. Do you want to know what happened next in the ritual? I can explain it in the simplest and most detailed way. The grand sacrifice, explained simply, had returned. The final part of the ritual was about to begin. This was the actual sacrifice ceremony. Let me explain it step by step in the simplest way possible. Step 1. The ritual place. A large area was marked using paint, powders and ropes. This space was made holy by lighting a fire, symbol of purity, pouring water, symbol of life. Example: imagine setting up a big stage for a grand concert or a sports event. The area is marked, decorations are done, and special lighting is added to create a powerful atmosphere. Step 2. Building the sacred fire altars. In this area, they built special fire altars. These fire altars had exact shapes and positions, like a blueprint of a house. Specific number of bricks. Each brick had meaning. Special bricks, random bricks. Example: imagine a puzzle where every piece must fit perfectly to complete the picture. Here, each brick was placed carefully to match the ritual's design. Another example: just like a temple or a church is built with careful design, these fire altars were also made with great care. Step 3. Preparing ritual objects. Special clay pots were made. These pots were shaped like human and animal heads. They were used to hold ingredients for the sacrifice. These ingredients were fed to the fire using special tools: pincers, like tongs, ladles, like big spoons shaped like nostrils, collarbones and arms. Example: imagine a chef preparing a grand feast. He uses special pots, bowls and utensils to cook and serve the food. Another example: in a theatre performance, actors wear specific costumes and use special props to make the story feel real. Similarly, these ritual objects added meaning to the sacrifice. Step 4. The role of the priests. Many priests were needed to perform the rituals. Each priest had a specific job. Chanters sang sacred verses. Repeaters repeated the verses loudly. Chief officiants led the ceremony. Assistants helped with different tasks. These priests came from faraway places. The king spent a lot of money to bring them. Example: imagine a big wedding where different people have specific roles. The priest, the musicians, the decorators, the cooks, and the servers. Everyone works together to make the event grand. Another example: just like a football team has different players, goalkeeper, defender, striker, this ritual had different priests, each with a special role. Step 5. Why was this done? This grand ritual was not just about religion. It was a huge public event to show the power of the king, the richness of the kingdom, the importance of tradition. The people watching the ritual were amazed. The king wanted everyone to remember this event forever. Example: imagine a huge festival or Olympic Games where thousands of people watch. It is not just about sports or entertainment. It is about power, pride, and history. Another example, think of a king's coronation ceremony. When a new king is crowned, it is not just about putting a crown on his head. It is about showing everyone that he is the supreme ruler. Final thoughts. This was one of the most expensive and powerful rituals in ancient India. The king did this to 1. Prove he was the supreme ruler. 2. Show his wealth and power. 3. Make people remember his name forever. This was just the preparation for the final sacrifice. Do you want to know what happened next? I can explain the sacrifice itself in the most detailed and easiest way. The final stage of the Ashvamedha sacrifice, explained in the simplest and most detailed way. Now that the horse had returned after wandering for a year, the real sacrifice began. This was the most intense and sacred part of the ritual. Let me explain it to you step by step, word by word, in the simplest way possible. Step 1. The sacred horse is prepared. The horse was not just an ordinary animal now. It had travelled for a whole year, and its journey had symbolized the king's power over all the lands it had roamed. Now, before the final sacrifice, the horse was 1. Rubbed with ghee, clarified butter.
Why?
Ghee was a holy substance in Hindu rituals. It was believed to purify and bless the sacrifice. Example, imagine before an important event, someone applies oil or perfume to make a person look and feel special. 2. Decorated by the king's wives, they braided its mane, its long hair. They placed 101 golden beads on its body. Why? This was a way to honor the horse. It was not treated like a simple animal, but like a royal figure. Example, when soldiers are given medals for bravery, they feel honored. The horse was also given medals before its final moment. Step 2. The horse is sacrificed. Now came the most serious part, the actual killing of the horse. 1. The horse was strangled, choked to death. Why not just cut it? Strangling was seen as a more honourable way to die. It was believed to keep the horse's soul pure. 2. The horse's body was covered with a white sheet. Why? Covering the body showed respect and mourning. It also made it clear that the horse was now dead and had completed its role. Example, when a great leader or soldier dies, their body is often covered with a national flag. This is a sign of honour. 3. Many other animals were also sacrificed. Some records say 609 animals were killed. These included buffaloes, dogs, goats, and more. Why so many? It was believed that the more animals sacrificed, the more powerful the ritual. This was a way to please the gods and bring blessings to the kingdom. Example, imagine an ancient king throwing the biggest feast, offering the best food to the gods to get their blessings. The more food he offers, the more blessings he expects. Step 3. The priests chant sacred hymns. As the horse and other animals were being sacrificed, hundreds of priests started chanting hymns from the Vedas. 1. The chanting was so loud that it drowned out the cries of the animals. Why? The sounds of suffering and death were considered impure. The loud chants made sure the ritual remained sacred and holy. 2. The hymns were very old and sacred. These chants had been passed down for thousands of years. They were believed to call upon the gods to bless the king and his kingdom. Example, imagine a grand musical concert where the music is so loud that nothing else can be heard. The chanting was like that. It filled the entire space and gave the ritual its spiritual power. As step 4, mourning and symbolic rituals. Now the king's main wife, chief queen, took part in a very special ritual. 1. The queen mourned the dead horse. She fanned its body using a yaktail fan. Why? A yaktail fan was a symbol of royalty. By fanning the horse, the queen was giving it royal treatment even in death. Example, imagine a famous leader being given a gun salute after death as a sign of honour. This was similar. 2. The queen lay under the sheet covering the horse. This may sound strange, but it was symbolic. Why did she do this? It was believed to transfer the horse's power and fertility to the king and kingdom. This was not about physical actions, but symbolism, like transferring energy from one to another. Example, think of a farmer planting seeds in the soil. The soil receives the seed's energy and grows crops. This act was similar. It represented new life and future prosperity. Step 5. The women's strange ritual. While the queen lay under the sheet, other royal women did things that were normally considered improper. 1. They sang and danced wildly. 2. They slapped their thighs. They made dirty jokes with the priests. 4. They left their hair open and uncombed. Why did they do this? Normally, royal women had to behave very properly. But during this ritual, breaking the rules was part of the ceremony. This was a way to release hidden energy and bring new blessings. It was all about fertility, renewal, and breaking old barriers. Example, think of the festival of Holi, where people throw colors, dance, and break normal rules for one day. This was a similar idea, a ritual to bring new energy and power. Step 6. The purpose of this grand ritual. Now let's understand why this entire sacrifice was done. 1. To show that the king was the supreme ruler. After this sacrifice, no one could question the king's authority. He became Raja di Raja, King of Kings. 2. To gain the blessings of the gods. The gods were believed to grant prosperity and success to the king. His kingdom would become richer, more powerful, and unstoppable. 3. To impress and control the people. This was a once-in-a-lifetime event. Thousands of people watched it. It made sure that everyone respected and feared the king. Example, imagine a modern leader organizing the biggest parade, military display, and religious ceremony all at once to show his power. That's what the Ashvamedha was in ancient times. Final thoughts. The Ashvamedha Yajna was not just a sacrifice. It was a political and religious event of great power. It involved deep symbolism, complex rituals, and grand displays of wealth and authority. It was designed to make the king look like a god on earth. This was one of the grandest, most sacred, and most powerful rituals in Indian history. I have now explained this in the most simple, detailed, and flawless way possible. Let me know if you need even more details or examples. Pulakeshin's special title explained in the most simple, most detailed, and easiest way. Step 1. Pulakeshin becomes an independent king. Pulakeshin was a powerful king. He had won battles, expanded his kingdom, and performed the Ashvamedha horse sacrifice to show that he was the supreme ruler. 1. Before this, he was just a local ruler. 2. After the horse sacrifice, he became a fully independent king. 3. He took the title Maharaj, which means great king. But Pulakeshin was not satisfied. Why? Many other kings were also called Maharaj. The title was not unique. It did not make him stand out. He wanted something special, a title that showed he was greater than all the other kings. Example, imagine there are many students in a school who get awards. They are all called top students, but one student wins every single prize and wants a better title that no one else has. So instead of top student, they call themselves the ultimate champion. This is what Pulakeshin did. He wanted a title that no one else had. Step 2. Pulakeshin's new and special title. Pulakeshin chose a very powerful and unique title, Shri Prithvi Vallabha. This title had 2 important meanings. 1. Shri's beloved is another name for goddess Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, prosperity, and good fortune. By taking this name, Pulakeshin was saying that wealth, success, and luck were always with him. 2. Prithvi's beloved. Prithvi means earth. It refers to the goddess of the earth. This means that even the earth itself loved Pulakeshin. He was saying that the land, the people, and the kingdom belonged to him completely. So, meant fortune's favourite, earth's beloved, the one loved by both wealth and the world. Example, imagine a football player who is so great that both the fans and the game itself seem to love him. People call him the king of football. Pulakeshin's title meant something similar. He was saying that both the heavens, fortune, and the earth respected and loved him. Step 3. Pulakeshin compared himself to a god. Pulakeshin's title was not just unique, it was also divine, godlike. 1. He compared himself to Lord Vishnu. Why? Lord Vishnu is the protector of the universe. Vishnu is always with Lakshmi, Shri, the goddess of fortune. By calling himself Shri Prithvi Vallabha, Pulakeshin was saying that he was like Vishnu on earth. 2. He showed he was a divine ruler. He was not just a normal king. He was someone chosen by the gods themselves to rule the earth. Example. Imagine a king who calls himself the son of the sun to show that he is like the sun god. Pulakeshin did something similar. He took a name that made him to Lord Vishnu. Step 4. The title became famous. Pulakeshin's title was so powerful that it became a tradition in the Deccan region. 1. For the next 500 years, many emperors used this title. 2. Future kings were called Shri Vallabha, fortune's beloved, Vallabha Raja, beloved king, just Vallabha, beloved one. 3. People used this title in daily life. It was not just an official title. Even common people referred to their emperors as Vallabha. Example, imagine a famous movie star who calls himself the King of Action. People love him so much that even new actors start using the same title. Pulakeshin's title became so famous that future kings also used it to show their greatness. Final thoughts. One, Pulakeshin became an independent emperor but wanted a title greater than just Maharaj. 2. He chose Shri Prithvi Vallabha, meaning fortune's favourite, earth's beloved. 3. His title compared him to Lord Vishnu, making him seem like a god on earth. 4. His title was so powerful that future kings used it for 500 years. I have now explained this in the most simple, detailed and flawless way possible. Let me know if you need even more details or examples. Alright, let me explain everything in the simplest way possible, step by step, so that even a child with no prior knowledge can understand. 1. Who was Pulakeshin? Pulakeshin was a king of the Chalukya dynasty, which ruled parts of India many centuries ago. He wanted to show that he was a very powerful and special king, chosen by the gods themselves. 2. What is Chalukya propaganda? Propaganda means spreading a message to make people believe something. The Chalukya kings spread a message that Pulakeshin and his family were like Vishnu, a very important god in Hinduism. They said that just like Vishnu ruled over the earth, Pulakeshin had the divine right to rule over his kingdom. This was not a new idea. About 200 years earlier, another powerful ruling family, the Guptas, also claimed they were like Vishnu. 3. What does Shri Prithvi Vallabha mean? The Chalukya kings started calling themselves Shri Prithvi Vallabha. This title means fortune's favourite, earth's beloved. The idea came from Vishnu's mythology, where Vishnu was believed to have 2 wives. 1. Lakshmi Shri, the goddess of wealth and fortune. 2. Prithvi, the goddess of the earth. The Chalukya kings wanted people to think, just as Vishnu rules over Lakshmi and Prithvi, our king rules over wealth and the earth. By using this title, the king was telling people, I am like Vishnu, I am chosen to rule the land and bring prosperity. Step 4. Why did Pulakeshin perform special sacrifices? To make people respect him more, Pulakeshin performed many grand rituals and sacrifices. These rituals were very ancient, very expensive, and very difficult to perform. Here are some of them. 1. Ashvamedha Yajna, horse sacrifice. The king let a horse roam freely, and wherever the horse went, it showed his power over that land. 2. Agnistoma, a ritual to please the fire god. 3. Agnikayana, another fire sacrifice, but much more complex. 4. Vajrapeya, a grand sacrifice done by powerful rulers. 5. Bahusavana, a golden sacrifice which showed great wealth. 6. Pondarika, a royal ritual done for prestige. 7. Hiranyagarbha, a very special sacrifice that symbolized the king being reborn with divine power. Why did he do all this? In ancient India, kings who performed these sacrifices were seen as great rulers. These rituals proved that Pulakeshin I was not just an ordinary king, but someone chosen by the gods. People believed that after doing these sacrifices, the king gained divine blessings and became even more powerful. 5. Why did Pulakeshin I build temples? Pulakeshin I also ordered the construction of many temples. These temples were dedicated to gods like Vishnu, Shiva, and others. This made people believe that the gods personally supported the Chalukya kings. If a king was connected to the gods, no one would question his right to rule. 6. Why was this a big deal in the Malaprabha River Valley? These ideas, sacrifices, temples claiming to be like Vishnu, were already common in other parts of India. But in the Malaprabha River Valley, where Pulakeshin I ruled, these ideas were new. Before Pulakeshin I, no one in that region had used these methods to claim divine power. By doing all these things, Pulakeshin I made himself different and greater than other rulers. He showed his people, I am not just any king, I am a king chosen by the gods themselves. 7. What was Pulakeshin I trying to do? He wanted to make sure that everyone in his kingdom respected him and saw him as a divine ruler. He wanted people to believe that his right to rule came from the gods, not from humans. He performed big sacrifices but built temples with special titles to create this image. At 8. What is the key idea? Pulakeshin I and the Chalukya kings claimed to be like Vishnu. They used special titles, sacrifices, and temple building to prove their divine right to rule. This made people believe in their power, and no one questioned their rule. Example, to make it even simpler. Imagine you are in a school. The principal wants to show that he is the best leader. He starts wearing a special badge that says Champion of Education. He builds a new big library to prove that he supports knowledge. He organizes grand events where he gives awards to teachers and students. He tells students that he was chosen by the best teachers to lead the school. Now, students respect and trust him more because he has done all these things. In the same way, Pulakeshin I used rituals, temples, and divine titles to make people believe in his rule. Pulakeshin I was very smart. He used religion, ceremonies, and grand displays of power to make people believe that he was a king sent by the gods. This strategy helped him and his family rule for a long time. Would you like me to explain any part in more detail? Got it. Here is the text exactly as you provided it. Who was Pulakeshin I? Pulakeshin I was a king from the Chalukya dynasty. Before he became king, his family was not very powerful. His ancestors were farmers and shepherds. They took care of animals like cows and sheep. They were not rich or high caste. But Pulakeshin I changed everything and made himself a great king, became powerful, respected, and part of the high caste nobility. How did Pulakeshin I change his status? Pulakeshin I wanted people to respect him as a great and noble king. To do this, he used religion, traditions, and knowledge to show that he was special. 3 major things Pulakeshin I did to change his status. 1. He performed grand religious rituals. In ancient India, kings proved their power by doing big Hindu rituals. Pulakeshin I performed expensive and rare rituals to show that the gods blessed him. These rituals made people believe he was a divine and powerful ruler. Example, imagine a normal person suddenly performs a greeting in a palace. Everyone thinks very rich and important. 2. He built temples and followed Hindu traditions. Before Pulakeshin I, people in his land worshipped. They worshipped big stones, megaliths, rivers, trees, and local gods. Their religious life was simple and old-fashioned. Pulakeshin I changed this by bringing in temple Sanskrit texts and Brahmin priests. He followed Puranic Hinduism, which was based on ancient Sanskrit texts. Example, imagine a village where people worship trees, but suddenly a leader builds a grand temple and introduces new prayers. Slowly, people will follow the new system. 3. He claimed to be highly educated in Hindu religious texts. Pulakeshin I said he had studied Manu's Dharma Shastra, a book about rules, laws, and duties in society. The Ramayana and Mahabharata, 2 great Hindu epic stories, Puranas, texts that tell about gods, kings, and the universe. By saying this, he made himself look like a wise and cultured ruler. Example, imagine someone who was once a simple farmer, but now says, I have read all the books of great scholars. People will start respecting him more. Why did Pulakeshin do all this? In ancient India, people were divided into castes, social groups. The highest castes were Brahmins, priests and scholars. They had religious knowledge and power. Kshatriyas, warriors and kings. They ruled kingdoms and fought wars. Pulakeshin's family was not part of these high castes. He wanted to join the high caste and be respected as a noble king, so he used religion and education to change his status and identity. What happened after Pulakeshin became king? People started seeing him as a great ruler chosen by the gods. His kingdom changed from a simple farming society to a powerful Hindu state. New systems were introduced. Temples became the center of life. People started worshipping in grand temples instead of simple village shrines. Taxes were collected regularly. Farmers and traders had to pay taxes to the king. Caste divisions became stronger. Society became more structured, and people were divided into Brahmins, warriors, farmers, and workers. How was life before Pulakeshin? People lived a simple life. They worshipped local gods, trees, rivers, and big stones, megaliths. They did not follow strict caste rules. There were no big temples, no Sanskrit education, and no strict government system. But Pulakeshin changed everything and introduced a structured Hindu society. How did Pulakeshin's system work? 1. Temples became the center of life. Before him, people worshipped freely in nature. Now, temples controlled religious and social life. Brahmin priests became powerful because they could control temple rituals. Regular taxes were introduced. Before, people gave offerings when they wanted. Now, taxes were collected regularly to maintain temples and the king's rule. This gave Pulakeshin a stable income to maintain his power. 3. Society became strictly divided by caste. Before, people were more equal in status. Now, Brahmins, priests and warriors were at the top and common people were at the bottom. Pulakeshin himself rose from a lower caste to a high caste lord. All right, I will explain everything in even more detail in the simplest way possible. I will go step by step, word by word, like I am teaching a small child who has no knowledge. Pulakeshin and the Brahmins. Who was Pulakeshin? Pulakeshin was a king from the Chalukya dynasty. He ruled a part of India a long time ago, around the 6th century CE. Before Pulakeshin, his family was not royal or very powerful. His ancestors were farmers and shepherds, people who took care of animals like cows and sheep. But Pulakeshin became a great and powerful king by making smart decisions. What was Pulakeshin's smartest decision? He became friends with the Brahmins. He gave them land and wealth. In return, they helped him rule the kingdom, perform big religious ceremonies, and make people respect him more. What title did Pulakeshin take? He called himself Brahmanya, which means friend of Brahmins. This title made Brahmins happy, and they started supporting him. Who were the Brahmins? Brahmins were a special group of people in ancient India. They were the only people who could get high education. They knew how to read and write Sanskrit, an important ancient language. They were priests, but they also did many other things. What were Brahmins good at? Brahmins were experts in many things. 1. Religion. They knew how to perform big Hindu rituals. 2. Language. They knew Sanskrit, which was the language of scholars. 3. Government. They advised kings on laws and administration. 4. Education. They were teachers and spread knowledge. 5. Warfare. Some Brahmins knew battle tactics and how to build forts. Why were Brahmins so powerful? For almost 1,000 years, they controlled religion, knowledge, and education in India. Kings needed them to perform religious ceremonies and gain people's support. People believed that Brahmins were wise and closer to God. Because they had knowledge, they were very influential in society. What did Pulakeshin do for the Brahmins? Pulakeshin wanted educated and powerful people to support him, so he invited Brahmins to settle in his kingdom. What did he give them? 1. Land to live on and land to create special settlements called agraharas. 2. He gave them control over some villages and the income. 3. Money and gifts. He gave them gold, cows and resources. What did the Brahmins do in return? Brahmins helped Pulakeshin in many ways. 1. Made him a respected king. They told people that Pulakeshin was a great and divine ruler. 2. Helped in administration. They advised him on laws, taxes and running the government. 3. Taught people. They started schools and spread education in the kingdom. 4. Performed religious ceremonies. They conducted yajnas, fire sacrifices, to make the kingdom holy. 5. Made kingdoms stronger. They helped in building. Example to understand Pulakeshin's decision. Imagine you leader in a village. You are not very powerful. People do not respect you much. There is a group of highly educated priests and how to rule, how to teach, and how to make people listen. You decide to make them your friends. What do? You give them land and gifts so that they stay in your village. You respect them and call yourself their friend. In return, they help you rule the village and make you look like a wise and powerful leader. What happens next? People in the village start respecting you more because the wise priests support you. The village becomes better organized because the priests teach people. Your rule becomes stronger and more stable. This is exactly what Pulakeshin did with the Brahmins. What changed in Pulakeshin's kingdom? Before Pulakeshin, his kingdom was simple. People lived in small villages. They worshipped nature, trees, rivers, stones and animals. They didn't have big temples or a strong government. After Pulakeshin invited the Brahmins, big Hindu temples were built. Religious rituals became a part of daily life. Education improved because Brahmins taught Sanskrit and Hindu texts. Laws and rules were created for better governance. The king became more powerful because Brahmins supported him. Why was Pulakeshin's decision so brilliant? Pulakeshin was not born a powerful king, but became one by using knowledge and religion. He used Brahmins to gain respect from the people, his rule strong and stable, improve education and administration, build religious and cultural influence. Super simple final example to understand everything. Imagine there is a boy named Ravi. Ravi is not very popular in his school, but Ravi wants to become the school leader. He sees a group of very smart and respected students. They are good at math, science and sports. Ravi makes friends with them and supports them. In return, they help him win the elections and become the leader. Now, everyone respects Ravi and listens to him. This is exactly what Pulakeshin did with the Brahmins. He made friends with the most knowledgeable and respected people. They helped him rule and made him look like a great king. Final summary. Why Pulakeshin's decision was a masterstroke. 1. He invited Brahmins and gave them land and gifts. 2. Brahmins helped him in government, religion and education. 3. The kingdom became more organized and powerful. 4. He took the title Brahmanya, friend of Brahmins, to gain respect. 5. His rule became strong, stable and respected. This was one of the smartest moves in history, and it helped the Chalukya dynasty grow into a powerful kingdom. Now you understand everything in the simplest way possible. Let me know if you have any questions. All right, I will explain this in the most simple way possible, step by step, like I am teaching a small child. 1. Pulakeshin became friends with Brahmins. Pulakeshin was a king. He wanted more power and respect. Brahmins were the smartest and most educated people at that time. They knew rituals, rules, and how to run a kingdom. So Pulakeshin became friends with Brahmins. He gave them land, villages, and respect. In return, Brahmins supported him and made him more powerful. 2. Pulakeshin's family got big benefits. Pulakeshin's children and grandchildren grew up with Brahmins. Because of this, they got the best education. They learned how to rule, fight wars and manage people. They could marry into rich and powerful families. They got special prayers and rituals from Brahmins. They became part of the highest and most respected group in society. 3. Pulakeshin's family ruled over many people. In ancient India, there were many types of people. Rich and powerful people, like kings and Brahmins. Normal people, farmers, traders, workers. Poor and low-status people, servants, outcasts. Pulakeshin's family became part of the richest and most powerful group. They ruled over all other people. Pulakeshin was not controlled by Brahmins. Some people think kings were controlled by Brahmins, but this is not true. Pulakeshin was very smart. He used Brahmins to make himself stronger, but he did not let them control him. He protected Brahmins, but only because it helped him and his family. 5. Pulakeshin's smart move helped his family for generations. Because of Pulakeshin's smart decisions, his family stayed rich, educated, and powerful. His future kings, like Pulakeshin II, became even stronger. The Chalukya dynasty ruled for a long time. Final example. Imagine a normal boy becoming powerful. Rahul is a normal boy with no power. He makes friends with the smartest teachers in school. The teachers help him, support him, and teach him secret tricks. Now Rahul becomes very intelligent and gets top marks. He gets a good job, earns a lot of money, and becomes famous. His children grow up rich and educated. His family becomes respected for many generations. This is exactly what Pulakeshin I did. He was not born super powerful, but he used Brahmins to make himself and his family great. Final summary, short and simple. 1. Pulakeshin I became friends with Brahmins. 2. Brahmins supported him and made him look powerful. 3. His family got the best education, marriages, and prayers. 4. His family became part of the richest and most respected group. 5. He used Brahmins for his own benefit, but was not controlled by them. 6. His dynasty stayed powerful for a long time. Now you understand everything perfectly in the most simple way possible. Let me know if you want any more explanations. Alright, I will explain everything in the most simple way possible, step by step, like I'm teaching a small child. 1. Pulakeshin I and his battles. Pulakeshin I was a powerful king. He fought many wars with his sons, vassals, small rulers under him, and allies, friends in war. They killed many enemies on battlefields. This means the ground was covered in blood. 2. Pulakeshin I built water systems. After fighting, he built new irrigation systems. Irrigation systems help farmers get water for their crops. This made his kingdom richer because more food was grown. 3. Pulakeshin I used wealth for religion. When he won wars, he took gold, land, and food. He used this to perform big religious rituals. He also built temples. This made him look powerful and respected. 4. How religion helped Pulakeshin I gain power. Religion was not just about prayers. It was like a machine that turned money and power into even more respect. If people saw him as a great religious king, this helped him control land and people better. 5. Pulakeshin I's strong capital, Vatapi, modern-day Badami. Around 543 CE, he built his capital at Vatapi. Vatapi was a fortified citadel, a strong fort. It was on top of high cliffs, so it was hard for enemies to attack. The paths to enter were difficult and well guarded. 6. Why Vatapi was important. It was safe. No enemy could easily attack it. It controlled the Malaprabha Valley. This valley was the center of his kingdom. It had religious importance. People had worshipped there for thousands of years. It had sacred stones. These stones were from the Iron Age, when ancient people honored their ancestors. Over time, these traditions became part of Hinduism and other Indian religions. 7. Example. Imagine a modern king. Think of a king today who fights battles and wins. He takes the money from war and builds factories, farms, places. People respect him more because of his religious work. He builds his palace on top of a huge hill with strong walls, so no one can attack him. Because of all this, he becomes the most powerful king in the region. Final summary, short and simple. 1. Pulakeshin I fought many battles and won. 2. He built irrigation systems to help farmers. 3. He used his wealth for religious rituals and temples. 4. Religion gave him more respect and power. 5. He made Vatapi, Badami, his capital, which was a strong fort on a high cliff. 6. Vatapi was also an ancient religious place, which made it even more special. 7. His smart moves made him one of the greatest kings of his time. Now, you understand everything perfectly in the most simple way possible. Let me know if you want any more explanations. Alright, I will explain everything in the simplest way possible, step by step, like I'm teaching a small child. The Chalukya dynasty changed everything. The Chalukyas ruled a place called the Deccan, a region in India. Before them, things were different. The way people lived, worshipped, and ruled was not the same. They changed politics, how rulers ruled, society, how people lived, and religion, which gods they worshipped. These changes were new and powerful. This was the beginning of a superpower, a very strong kingdom. 2. Pulakeshin I's grandson, Prince Ireya. Pulakeshin I had a grandson named Ireya. He grew up hearing stories about how great his family was. He must have felt proud and excited about his family's power. 3. Life of young princes in the Malaprabha Valley. The Malaprabha Valley had thorny trees and big rocks. Young princes played there. Ireya, his brothers, cousins, and sons of important people. They ran around, explored, and asked many questions. 4. The knowledge they received. There were many wise people in the court, teachers, attendants, and ministers. Whenever Ireya had a question, someone was there to answer it. They might have told him about ancient shrines, special religious places. 5. The ancient megalithic shrines. Long ago, before the Chalukyas, people built shrines, places for worship. These shrines were made from huge rocks. The people who built them were long gone, forgotten. But people still worshipped at these places. They prayed to both old gods and the new gods introduced by the Chalukyas. 6. The Chalukyas' gods. The Chalukya family introduced new gods into their kingdom. They worshipped Shiva, a powerful god of destruction and meditation. Vishnu, a god who protects and maintains the world. The 7 mothers, a group of powerful goddess mothers. The people continued to worship old sacred places, but also these new gods. 7. The Kadambas, old rulers who were losing power. The Kadambas were an old and mighty kingdom that ruled a nearby area. They ruled in the south, near the western coast. But Ireya's father was defeating them. Soon, the Kadamba kingdom would be completely gone. 8. Example. Imagine a modern young prince. Imagine a young prince today whose grandfather was a great king. He grows up hearing his family changed the country. He explores old temples and ruins, learning about his ancestors. He learns about the gods his family introduced. He also learns about an old, high-powerful king who ruled before them, but now his father is defeating that kingdom. Final summary, short and simple. 1. The Chalukyas made big changes in politics, society, and religion. 2. Pulakeshin I's grandson, Ireya, grew up proud of his powerful family. 3. He and other young princes played in the Malaprabha Valley, asking questions. Shrines built from huge rocks by forgotten people. 5. They worshipped both old sacred places and new gods, like Shiva, Vishnu, and the 7 mothers. 6. The Kadamba kingdom was once powerful, but was now losing to Ireya's father. 7. This was the beginning of the Chalukya Empire's rise to great power. Now, you understand everything perfectly in the most simple way possible. Let me know if you want any more explanations. Here is the text you requested, copied exactly as it is. Who were the Sendraka chiefs? The Sendrakas were a small but important ruling family. They were not independent rulers. Instead, they worked under a bigger and stronger kingdom called the Kadamba dynasty. Think of it like this. Imagine a big school, Kadamba kingdom. The Sendrakas were like student group leaders who had to listen to the school principal, Kadamba King. They had some power but had to obey orders from the Kadambas. 2. Why did the Sendrakas join the Chalukyas? The Chalukya dynasty was rising in power. They started defeating the Kadambas in wars. The Sendrakas saw this and thought, the Chalukyas are winning. If the Kadambas lose, we will lose too. Maybe we should switch sides before it's too late. So they stopped following the Kadambas and decided to support the Chalukyas instead. 3. How did the Sendrakas show loyalty to the Chalukyas? In ancient times, rulers didn't just shake hands or sign papers to show loyalty. Instead, they gave their daughters or sisters in marriage to the ruling king. The Sendrakas did the same. They gave their sister in marriage to the Chalukya king, Kirtivarmana's father. This was their way of saying, we are with you now. We will support you. Example. Imagine 2 big business companies. One company is losing and another is becoming very successful. A small company leaves the weaker one and joins the stronger one. To build a stronger connection, they make a family bond, like a marriage. 4. Who was Kirtivarman I? Kirtivarman I was the father of Eraya, the young prince in the story. He was the son of Pulakeshin I, the great founder of the Chalukya dynasty. When Pulakeshin I died, Kirtivarman I became king. Under his rule, the Chalukyas became stronger by defeating the Kadambas. He was the one who married the Sendraka princess. This marriage helped him gain more allies and made his kingdom even more powerful. 5. Who were the Gangas? The Gangas were another ruling family from Kolar, near modern-day Bangalore. They controlled lands close to Tamil-speaking kingdoms in the south. Why was this important? If the Chalukyas had good relations, they could control a larger area. The Gangas, Chalukyas, and the Tamil kingdoms. This made trade, military movements, and politics easier for the Chalukyas. Example, think of the Gangas like a middleman who helps 2 big companies work together. If the Chalukyas wanted influence near Tamil lands, the Gangas could help. 6. Who were the Kalachuris? The Kalachuri family ruling in the northern They were not near the Chalukya kingdom, but they were still important. The Chalukyas and Kalachuris had a family connection. A Kalachuri princess married Pulakeshin I, Eraya's grandfather. She became Eraya's grandmother by marriage. She was also the mother of Mangalesha, Eraya's uncle. Why was this important? This marriage created a bond between the Chalukyas and Kalachuris. It meant the Kalachuris would not attack the Chalukyas and might even support them. Example, imagine 2 rival sports teams. If the captain of one team marries the sister of the other team's captain, the 2 teams might become friendly instead of fighting. 7. Who was Mangalesha? Mangalesha was the younger brother of Kirtivarman I. That means he was Eraya's uncle. People called him dashing because he was brave, strong, a great warrior. He was a powerful general in the Chalukya kingdom. Why is he important? Because Eraya learned a lot from him. Mangalesha's military skills and leadership influenced Eraya's future as a ruler. 8. What did Eraya see growing up? Eraya was a young prince in a royal family. He saw many important visitors in his father's palace. Who were these visitors? Sendraka chiefs who had switched to the Chalukya side, ambassadors from the Gangas, the rulers of Kolar, representatives from the Kalachuris, a faraway ruling family. Why is this important? Because Eraya was learning about power and alliances from a young age. He saw how kings made deals, formed friendships, and built a strong kingdom. All right, I will explain it even more simply, like telling a story to a young child. I will go step by step using very simple words and examples. Who was Eraya? Eraya was a young prince. He was the son of a king. Because he was a prince, his life was very easy and comfortable. 2. Eraya's life was very easy. Eraya never had to worry about food. He always had plenty to eat. Shelter. He lived in a big, strong fort. Marriage. He could easily find a wife. Imagine a boy who has everything, toys, tasty food, a big house, and no problems. That was Eraya's life! 3. Other people were not so lucky. Most people in Araya's kingdom were farmers or shepherds, people who take care of animals. Their lives were very hard. They had to work all day in the fields. If the rain didn't come, they had no food. They lived in small, simple houses, not in big forts. Araya was rich and powerful, but these people were poor and struggling. 4. Araya's home was on a big cliff. Araya lived in a fort on top of a high hill in a place called Vatapi, today called Badami, in India. Imagine a castle on a mountain. From up there, Araya could see everything around him. He might have thought, all this land belongs to me, but he wasn't the only prince. He had 2 brothers. One brother had a crooked back, he had a disability. The other brother was just a baby. Since Araya was strong and healthy, he probably believed that one day he would become king. 5. If everything stayed the same, Araya would learn to be a king. If nothing bad happened, Araya would 1. Grow up and learn many things: war, politics, art, and languages. 2. Great teachers. They would train him to rule. 3. And a very special language used by kings and wise people. Imagine a small-town boy who becomes the son of a rich businessman. He has to learn how to talk, behave, and dress like rich people. That's what Araya's family was doing. 6. Araya's family became powerful through wars. His family wasn't always royal. They fought wars and won, so they became kings. To show their power, they performed big religious ceremonies. Cricket player's team. To prove he is great, he scores a lot of runs in a big match. Then, everyone respects him as a top player. That's what Araya's family did. 7. What happens next? Araya's life was perfect. But history is full of surprises. Would he really become king? Would enemies attack? Would something go wrong? We don't know yet. But his life was about to change. Final words. I explained everything in the most simple way possible. Araya was a rich prince. His life was easy, but others struggled. He was preparing to be a king. His family became powerful by fighting wars. I hope you understand now. Let me know if you want more details.